Hey guys, Mike Cameron here with another video. So 2 weeks ago, I made a video talking about how it's not such a good idea to label ourselves as good people in order to let ourselves off the hook when we're being less than good. Last week, I talked about negativity, accepting it and owning it as a part of life in order to feel okay when negativity comes up and when we're being negative. This week, I want to talk about the origin of self-esteem problems themselves and how to start to break free of them. Now, when it comes to self-esteem problems, including feelings of worthlessness and isolation, there is one main culprit in any kind of scenario, and that is a particular belief, which is, I am bad. We were first taught this belief through a sequence when we were growing up, which looks like this. Something bad happened. We were punished. And then we felt bad about ourselves because we got negative attention. To give you an example, there was a time, probably many times, when we didn't listen to our parents. Our parents called us out, and they punished us by taking away a toy, which caused a loss of happiness and joy. We weren't allowed to do an activity, again, loss of happiness and joy, or we were sent to the corner by ourselves, causing isolation. Now, this sequence is actually very useful in that it teaches us as kids that certain behaviors are unacceptable, and it's helped us to not live a life where we're lying and stealing. And it's also saved our lives, because you think about, a kid wandering off into the street, and the parent will actually yell at the kid, which is a form of punishment. And the kid learns that that's actually not a good thing to do. And the more we go through this sequence, the more it becomes ingrained in us, and the more of an emotional charge it has. And we're also taught how to do that to ourselves through that repetition, without having to have a parent or an external force initiate it. And we carry it throughout our entire lives. Now, when we do it to ourselves, the sequence can kind of change a little bit to something bad happening, to I'm bad, to punishment. And again, the sequence is useful, but there's one flaw in both of the sequences, and it's actually quite a powerful flaw. And that is, if it is very unclear that we're being punished because of a behavior, then we start to see that we're being punished because of who we are. When we're punished because of behavior, it creates a feeling of guilt. And guilt can be resolved by changing our choices and changing our behaviors. And it's the ideal way to do things. When it's because of us, that gives the message that there is something fundamentally wrong with who we are. And that is a lot harder to change. It's also a lie that we also cannot see. Why? Because a lot of the upsets that are caused, a lot of the problems that we cause are because of thoughts, emotions, choices, behaviors, and we're not any of those things because we can change them. So let's look at some examples post-childhood. Let's say, you're going and doing karaoke and you're having such a fun time at it. And then some jerk from the audience starts heckling you. And maybe you've already had those thoughts in the background of your mind. And you start to identify with his heckling, and that's the something bad happening. And then you start to justify why you should be punished and why it's true. Because maybe you didn't get that note, maybe you don't sound like a professional, and maybe you believe that you should sound like a professional if you're up on stage. And then you punish yourself by having that loss of happiness and joy, replacing it with feeling bad and dumping all over yourself, possibly feeling isolated, feeling disconnected from people, even if you're with friends. Another example, let's say you're really attracted to somebody and you want to approach them. Although your thoughts start kicking in and you start to imagine the scenario playing out in a very terrible way. That, believe it or not, is the something bad happening. It doesn't even have to be external. It can be your thoughts, it can be your memories, it can be your emotions. It can be your imagination. And so that plays out. You start thinking, I'm bad. You start thinking about how, you're worthless, how you're not good enough, all the different ways you're not good enough. Then you punish yourself by distancing yourself from the, desire to approach the person, your loss of happiness and joy. You might also isolate yourself and even feel lonely. Another scenario. Say you woke up and you're really tired and it's made you cranky throughout the whole entire day. And you're going about doing some activity. Maybe you have to perform at something and you don't really feel good about your performance. And that's the something bad happening. You feel bad. That's the emotion. And then you say, I'm bad. You start to think about all the things that were crappy, and then you punish yourself for not doing a good job. When really, you could have saved yourself the time and just allowed yourself to feel the negativity and just allow it there. But without allowing that, you start to see that your performance was under par or not good enough, even if it was. Other ways you can see people going through the sequences and the punishments, the loss of happiness and joy could also be emptiness. When good things are happening, they don't feel them. It just feels empty to them. The isolation can be a withdrawal. It can be disconnection. It could be distancing themselves from relationships as well. And cravings, which help us to try and feel better when we're feeling like crap and we want to avoid feeling like crap. And the most obvious one is when people verbalize it. They say, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I'm bad, I'm worthless. That's how you know. And it's not always that black and white. I mean, it does depend on how much love and affection the person's getting outside of that sequence. It also depends on the kind of something bad happening. Now, why I say that with the love and the affection, it's because it's the very opposite of punishment. It's adding more happiness and joy. It's adding more connection. It's adding the belief that you are worth it. And when it comes to the something bad happening, there's some punishments that seem like they're chronic. And I'm not going to get into that in this video, because we don't have time. I will be addressing that in next week's video, though. For the ones that aren't getting as much love and affection, or none at all, it does impact them more. And that creates another pattern where they are afraid of conflict, out of fear of being punished, but also out of a fear of putting somebody else through that cycle and them thinking that they're bad because they know how that feels. So what do? Well, great thing is that you heard what I just said throughout the video, And that information itself is already starting to open up new doors for you and starting to create that process of changing that belief. Now, when we find ourselves in situations involving others and something bad happening or an upset, we need to consider if we actually did something wrong. If we did, we look at it as a behavior. We remind ourselves, that's because of a behavior. And then we go and we clean it up with people. We apologize, we make amends, whatever. If it's because of someone else, realize that it's because of what's going on with them. And that punishment is not really a punishment. It's just their stuff, and it has nothing to do with you. If you're unsure, I would talk to somebody who's trustworthy, who's very honest, who's very intelligent. Because it's a good idea to get an outside perspective to help us, because the answer could be in our blind spot. And if somebody has hurt us, we have to remind ourselves again, it's the behavior. And then through reminding us of that, it's easier for us to approach the situation if we decide to. There may be an urge to punish people. Punish people that are trying to punish us. Don't do that. Hold on. Wait until my next video. I'm going to cover that one. And if there's too much emotion, best thing to do is just let yourself feel the emotion first. Like I was talking in last week's video. Allow yourself to have that negativity come up. And if you can feel yourself, feel the emotions come through, then it starts to dissipate it. It starts to become okay, and then you can come from a clear place. And finally, if I was a parent, I would make sure the child knows specifically that it's because of the behavior. I'd send the child to the corner, say, I love you, but there's consequences, you need to go in the corner, and then after, talk about it. Get them to understand why they're being punished. So it's very clear that it's because of the behavior, and that they're still loved, they're still important, and they're still valuable. Anyway, so that's my video. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up, comment below, and subscribe for more of these videos. Next week's video, I'm going to talk about why we hold grudges, why we feel the need to punish people, and I'm also going to talk about the idea of feeling like we're being chronically punished, how that affects us, and how to break free of all of those things. So please check that video out when it comes out next week. Alright, until next video, bye! Hey guys, I hope you really enjoyed the video. And if you haven't already seen last week's, click on the video below and watch it now. Thanks for watching.